everyone, hope you're doing okay. A lot more people are making content from home, so I thought I would share a little bit of my YouTube studio space because I know a lot of people have been curious about it, and I definitely have been putting it together slowly but surely, but I realized something that really works for me and my small space here. So let's get a tour of my studio. So yeah, as you can see here, I'm in my bedroom. You gotta work with what you got, but I hope that I try to get the most pleasing shots, most visual looking thing I can out of this room. And to do that, this center of contraption is essentially my studio that can actually be repositioned and rolled around. It's essentially a tripod, a monitor arm, a microphone stand, and a light stand, all into one that can be moved around the studio whenever I feel like it, which is fabulous. So let's just go through and break down what this piece of gear is. Let's start off with the camera, which is the Panasonic S1H, and I really grown to really like this camera. It's everything that I liked about the GH5, but just amped up, as 5.9K recording, log recording, 10-bit, but most of the time I'm shooting only 4K 10-bit, and now I'm actually shooting 30 frames per second instead of 24. I think I kind of like it for YouTube. I like to hear your thoughts on whether you notice a difference or not. On this camera, I have my Vivitar 28mm f2.5 lens. It's a vintage lens, which was very cheap, but I like the kind of focal length. It's just about right for this YouTube setup. And connected to the camera also, I have this monitor. It's a 7-inch monitor by Vodka, and this helps me get the angle. Sometimes if I'm not using the Panasonic S1H, I'll use the S1, and it doesn't have a flip out screen. So it's nice to have a bigger monitor to see myself. I mainly use this for like zooming in, making sure I'm in focus. And then also, since it's touchscreen, which is really nice, I can bring up monitor LUTs. So I can turn that off, and that's what the camera's actually recording, is this gray, nasty image. But it makes it really great for grading, and once it's on, I get a preview of what it looks like. Because I have this light off, it's not actually ideal. It looks more like that when I'm finished, and when I grade it, it looks a little bit more cinematic. Right above the whole camera thing, I have this microphone arm, which I can reposition and at a moment's notice. So I'll move that back. Makes it really easy just to get the microphone exactly how I want it, just off frame here. So I get really high quality sound. This is the Deity S Mic 2. It's a really great budget microphone. Costs around $300, $400, but it's really comparable to higher end shotgun microphones. The XLR cable goes straight into the XLR1 adapter by Panasonic, meaning I can record my audio straight into camera, no syncing required. It's already in the video clip. I really like that. The convenience factor makes it worthwhile. On the other side here, I have this giant grip arm here, as you can see, and this actually allows me to position a light. Right now it's holding a 5-in-1 reflector, and this allows for a nice soft diffused light. I have always recommend buying a 5-in-1 reflector. They're like 20 bucks, and I use them all the time, specifically for this, to mount kind of on this grip arm, and it provides like a very nice soft light. This whole 43-inch diameters is now my soft key light. But that's not holding the light itself. We actually have to move over to the back. I'm just gonna take off this. So once I remove the scrim, we can see our soft box, which is on another light stand, just a cheap light stand. And this soft box is super cheap. It was like $10 or $20. Put in a $20 LED bulb. That's pretty good for video. And that's it. I haven't really needed to upgrade it since. You can actually, in theory, just mount this directly to the light stand, and that works. I've used that before, but I like getting an ever so softer quality of light. So if I were to turn off this light here, that's the level of harshness I'm getting straight out of the camera. So it can work. I could bring that in closer. It's really bright, but when I'm talking to the camera, having something softer is a little bit more easy on my eyes and makes it look a little better. But I want to talk to you guys about the background, because that is pretty important as well. So moving our attention to the background here, this is very vital when I'm setting up my camera angle. I have it positioned where it's pointing directly to this back wall, providing really the most depth for this room. This is probably the nicest looking angle. I have this nice wood wall we put up, adds a little bit of character, personality. The gray is a little bit simple here. And then these blinds, actually I set this all up in a very particular way. With these blinds, I leave them closed, and I just position the blinds very subtly. I kind of close them, and I leave a little gap here to create a little bit of bokeh. You'll see these bokeh balls when I'm right up here. You'll see those bokeh balls in the background. I think that just looks nice. And then to add some greenery, I add this plant. That's its sole job, is to look nice in the background. I add some decorations, and I add a little light here for the background because it will get extremely dark if I don't. So I set it to 3300 Kelvin. Right now it's about 20% brightness, but you can see if I turn that off. So right here, that background is pretty dark. It still looks nice, but you do want to add a little bit more character and mood. When I finish grading this, that window will actually be a little bit bluer, so I like having that warm light to complement the background. So this 500T by Bbmidphx just adds a little bit of splash to the background, and I angle it in such a way so the light itself is in the background and adds a little bit more colorful, blurry background bits. And I set up some props and camera stuff on this table, which I actually do a lot of my prop stuff on, which we'll get to soon enough. And so when I'm properly seated, that string of lights is kind of creating a nice texture, as well as this light back here. I think it just looks very nice. And then I don't really do anything for fill. I think it looks pretty good. So this is for the main shot where I film all of my A-roll, but there's a couple other setups I do when I'm filming B-roll and product shots. So let me set that up and I'll show you what it looks like. And so this is how I might set up when I am filming a camera. Let's say I'm doing a filmmaking camera tutorial. This is kind of roughly how it looks. Actually, I use the tripod I'm using right now to get a better ability, but right now I just kind of lowered the grip and it still works. Then you can kind of reposition the boom as well, so I can talk as I'm doing it. Overall, it's a very nice, easy way to set up. It takes just a little bit of time because I have to adjust the light and everything, but a lot quicker than I would have to do beforehand, which is really convenient. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is the backlight pretty much stays exactly like I have it for my A setup. And that lights up the background, because if I didn't have that, it would be kind of boring and kind of flat looking like this. So I typically try to adjust the softbox so it's not hitting that background as much as it is now. And I just have that nice warm light. And sometimes if I'm feeling adventurous, I'll use one of these pocket LED lights, set it to warm at a very low intensity. And I can kind of set that off frame, and that provides a nice edge light, nice glow. Gives a little bit more separation, which looks pretty good. If you're wondering what this light is, it's the Iwata GL bicolor pocket light. I've done a review on this on my channel. I'll leave links to all the products I talk about in the description down below. That way you can check it out. So I also have a different camera setup that utilizes a top-down angle. So let me show you that right now. So I don't typically set up a boom for this scenario. I usually just leave the on-camera mic and that just picks up the product shuffles and noises. But I guess I can use this boom because I'm reusing this entire contraption again. And essentially the lighting is using the 5-in-1 reflector on the opposite side, which provides a really nice, even yet soft, dramatic look. You still get some dimension, but everything's not too flat. Right up here, I have a 50mm lens, full frame. Actually works very nicely here. But having this on a nice, I have a little black tablecloth here. Sometimes that alone is a little bland. So instead, I found ways you can just decorate the frame. So old props like this old camera. You can set that to the side. You can throw up another lens, another camera. Really just anything that you can find that kind of adds a little bit of interest. You want to stick it on the edge of the frame. And so I probably would zoom in a bit more, but this is nice when you can hold the prop and it looks something like that. So a very nice clean look. The shadows fall this way towards the camera, and I'm still able to really focus on the product. Also, I can utilize the HDMI. I can move that, clamp it onto the tripod. That way I have a better angle if I wanted to do so. And this is where I make my YouTube videos. This is my editing station. Front and center is my lovely 32-inch Acer monitor. I'll leave the exact model in the description because I don't remember it. But it's a nice 32-inch. It's only a 1440p display, but it's sharp. It might as well be 4K. Plenty of real estate. The way I've set up my Premiere, I have a nice long timeline, so it's really nice to edit with. Speaking about computer processing power, I am using my Hackintosh that I built last summer. It works really well with Premiere. When I throw like heavier footage, like 10-bit 4K files, it handles it pretty well. I learned a lot when building the Hackintosh, so it was really a great learning process. Sometimes it has its drawbacks, its quirks, but what a computer doesn't. I have these speakers. I didn't own any speakers for the longest time, and when I got these, I was very impressed. Just the audio quality. I can't believe I didn't have that before. These have Bluetooth, so I can actually connect my phone. So if I'm watching YouTube videos or listening to music, you still got nice audio quality. Before this, I was using a 2015-inch MacBook Pro. I don't know how I did it. I was using Final Cut Pro, and yeah, don't really want to go back. I like having good processing power. It's kind of like when I shifted from editing on my iPad to the computer. It's like you don't want to go back if you don't have to. I'm using Premiere Pro, and I have been using this since last year. When I started working, they had Premiere, they used Premiere, so I had to learn it, and actually I've grown to like it. I like being able to customize things, lock different things. Final Cut doesn't really give you that option. However, the trend is people are moving to DaVinci Resolve, so I don't know. I really do want to make more videos on editing because I definitely know a lot about that, but I kind of have to work out the quirks of how to make a editing tutorial. So yeah, that's the editing station. Let's go back to the main A-roll setup. All right, and we're back to the A-roll setup. Just took me about a few minutes to get it just right and get rolling right again. This is really great for a small studio when you actually have to pack things away, but you don't want to tear everything down. This is great. I can just move it kind of over there where it's not bothering from my rest of my room, so I can just do normal things. But when I'm ready to record, it just takes a few minutes to set it up and I am ready to go. So with all this gear, it's the versatility of it that allows me to work on the videos. It's not really the gear that is providing me better content or better quality of videos, but it does help me achieve that. It depends on how you utilize the gear you already have rather than just buying a specific tool for the job. For instance, I'm using a cheap softbox, but I don't really need to get the most expensive light out there. I'm still quite content with this cheap softbox, and it works really well. And knowing some principles about lighting, I'm able to get a good lit shot. However, I do have some more expensive gear like the Panasonic S1H. You probably don't want to buy your girlfriend this camera as it costs about $4,000 new, but for myself, I am working full-time video, and I know I'm going to be doing this for the long run. And that goes back to this channel, just about sharing different ideas and making better content, as well as my growth as a filmmaker or creator. So even if you're not interested in any of this gear, Hopefully you found yourself learning a thing or two while watching this video, or at very least you were entertained by this video. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, let me know. See ya.